Hey guys, welcome back to my faction overview series. Today we are going to be taking a look at everybody's favorite religious zealots, the Gaalsien. Now the Gaalsien are a very stylish faction. They do, however, require a little bit more micro than their coalition counterparts. So if you've watched my last video, you're familiar with the coalition. And whereas the coalition may favor defensive tactics, the Gaalsien definitely favor a more aggressive approach, for reasons which you'll soon see. One of the primary distinctions between the Gaalsien and the coalition is the Gaalsien have decentralized production capabilities.
Carrier weapon systems online.
So if you've seen my last video, you know that the coalition uses their carrier to build all of their units. Now the Gaalsien, on the other hand, their carrier can build their salvagers for mining operations, as well as cruiser-class vessels only. Now when you start a match with the Gaalsien, aside from your cruiser, you will also have a production cruiser. This is a special cruiser-class vessel which can produce all of the other units in your roster. So all of your armored vehicles, your light vehicles, your railguns, and in general all of your basic units are produced at your production cruiser. And your cruisers are produced on your carrier, including production cruisers. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but it opens up a lot of gameplay options. You can see what I've done here is I've used my production cruiser immediately to travel to the next closest expansion site and begin mining operations there, setting up a very quick expansion. Alternatively, what many players like to do is send their production cruiser out into the field and begin producing units immediately to begin harassing or resourcing sites. So definitely a more aggressive, micro-oriented playstyle. The second distinction you'll notice is that Gaalsien units all employ hover technology. Now this gives them a distinct mobility and speed advantage over the coalition, thus reinforcing their aggressive hit-and-run type of playstyle. So you'll see as I begin to produce military units that every unit the Gaalsien builds has hover technology. In addition to this, the third distinction is that Gaalsien units all regenerate their hit points while out of combat, and that's yet another reason why they would favor hit-and-run playstyle. You can send your units in, attack, do a bunch of damage, pull them out, heal them up, and go in for another attack. In the support role, we have a base runner, just like the coalition do. However, the Gaalsien base runner is different in many ways. It can deploy a scanner instead of a probe. So I've deployed one here. Take a look at the sensors manager. I've deployed one close to the enemy. Keep tabs on their activities. Unlike the coalition counterpart, the Gaalsien scanner is stationary, and it will stay there and scan this entire wide area.
Light attack vehicle rendering complete.
Furthermore, the Gaalsien base runner can support frontline combat units with a Restore Allied Hull ability. Now this is an activated ability that causes a large area around the base runner to have a healing over time buff. So when you put your units inside of that area, it will regenerate hit points even faster. As you can see, I've begun to start producing light vehicles. The Gaalsien light vehicle is called a sand skimmer. Small skirmishing unit, hovering above the ground.
Salvager online.
These ones are faster and more maneuverable than the coalition counterparts. However, they have slightly less range. But due to their speed and maneuverability, as well as their ability to regenerate hit points, you definitely want to play the aggressor, these guys. As you can see, I'm amassing a small force to begin harassing my enemy's resource locations, and I will showcase that ability shortly. It's also important to note that the Gaalsien, though they do produce units for the production cruiser, all of their research is likewise done on their carrier.
Salvager online. Rally position designated.
These guys ooze style though. They're very cool.
Fleet capacity upgraded.
Definitely not recommended for beginners. if you're playing, you should probably learn the game as Coalition. And once you're comfortable with the core mechanics
Tracking contact.
and how the game works, definitely give Gaalsien a try. They're one of my preferred factions, personally. So here I've sent in my skimmers
Under fire.
very early in the match to start harassing and doing some economic damage to the Coalition player. My skimmers are taking damage, I'm losing a few.
Hostile
That's
salvager
okay,
eliminated.
because as you can see, some of the ones that are out of combat start glowing blue and regenerating their hit points. To aid in this, I've brought my base runner forward to start healing some of my surviving units. There's the healing buff you can see going off. It's just helping my sand skimmers stay in the fight for that much longer. So what I'm doing here is slowing down the Coalition player. Now I'm pulling out to heal up my units, and have them rally with reinforcements that I'm building for my other production cruisers. This is a typical Gaalsien playstyle. You will see a lot of Gaalsien players be very aggressive in the early game with sand skimmers. It helps them to take map control and possibly slow down the Coalition player.
Grid mark noted. Maneuvering out.
Now, the second unit in the military roster
Ready and waiting.
is something totally unique to the Gaalsiens.
Rally
It's
position
the
marked.
assault railgun.
Sounds good.
Now, this thing's very different from the standard railgun that you've seen. This is a very fast, very maneuverable, short-range, rapid-firing railgun. Very good for supporting skimmers, as it can actually keep up with them. It has an upgrade to give it a speed burst ability.
Base rally position designated.
And again, as you can see here, I'm rallying more skimmers and some assault railguns to continue the aggression on my opponent.
Rendering complete.
Hit them in their first sight, I'm going to swing around now and hit them in their second sight.
Grid mark verified. Light attack vehicle rendering complete.
So these assault railguns you definitely want out on the field early. They're very good counter to armored vehicles.
We do not have enough CUs.
But they can also fight light vehicles, unlike normal railguns, pardon me. Because they have a rapid firing burst in their railgun. You'll see it showcased shortly here.
Destination locked in. Command bearer armored ship online.
So as we are moving in for another raid, I'm teching up and adding higher tier units into my roster.
Course set. Target position set.
I'm keeping my base runner forward to advance with my raiding party to help heal them up and keep them in the fight that much longer.
Armored ship online.
As you can see, the assault railguns are approaching an armored target right now.
Enemy salvager destroyed.
They managed to deploy a turret, unfortunately, which is causing some significant
Assault
damage to my
railgun
forces.
destroyed.
But you can
Sand skimmer
see
taking fire.
the assault railguns make short work of the turret. The skimmers scream, cause more economic
Has been
damage.
destroyed. Defense alert.
Well, you typically would go for armored assault vehicles, as the Coalition, after your light
Invasion
vehicles.
strike craft
With the
down.
Gaalsien, it's a good idea to skip straight to railgun production, so that you can get these assault railguns on the field earlier.
Interceptor production online. Railgun calibration enhancements online.
Next, we're going to be taking a look at the Gaalsien armored variant. Now, this is the
Do
assault
not
ship.
have enough RUs.
Definitely faster and more maneuverable, and does significantly more damage than the Coalition counterpart. These are quite a bit more fragile, not as heavily armored. Again, keeping with that Gaalsien theme of moving in, doing a lot of damage, and then outmaneuvering your opponent.
Verified. Mobilizing
I've decided to support these assault ships with heavy railguns. The second railgun variant that the Gaalsien fleet has access to. These are basically like your standard railguns from the Coalition,
Hostile forces
except they have an
detected.
upgrade
Be
called heavy
vigilant. Defense
calibration,
alert. Enemy
which
armor
allows them
inbound.
to toggle this ability on. It slows their movement speed, but dramatically increases their railgun range, giving them the longest range attack for a railgun in the game. As you can see, I'm going to position them on top of this hill and absolutely punch these armored vehicles that are going to try to advance on my position.
Interceptor online awaiting orders.
Keeping my light skirmisher units out of the fight for the time being, and moving my armored assault ships up to screen for my railguns. supported by my base runner for this extra healing ability.
Interceptor is entered.
Heavy railguns are definitely going to be the backbone of your army. They're going to be your primary source of DPS, and they can absolutely decimate anything at range.
Target zone verified.
Gaalsien are certainly the railgun masters in the game.
Target zone verified. Coordinates verified.
Hostile armored craft destroyed.
Where they're deploying their smoke,
Armored
try
craft
and
under attack.
advance,
Stratosphere
so
under
I send in
fire.
a flanking squad, stream with skimmers, stream with armored assault, and use railguns to do all the damage.
Destroyed.
Grid work set. Advance.
This is the essence of Gaalsien playstyle.
Course set.
As you can see, I'm poking in, doing damage, retreating to allow my
Rally
units to
position
heal,
designated.
using my superior speed and mobility to outflank and outmaneuver the enemy.
Rally position designated.
Carrier systems ready.
Back to the Gaalsien carrier for a moment, you'll see that its power systems are quite a bit different than the Coalition's. In fact, strangely enough, the Gaalsien carrier starts as the slowest carrier in the game. However, one of its power shunting systems is for its engines, and if fully upgraded, it becomes the fastest carrier in the entire game by far, allowing you to have a frontline combat monster which can fly in, do
Defense
massive
alert.
damage,
Incoming
and
hostile
retreat
strike fighter.
very quickly and heal its own hit points up.
Interceptor inbound on target position. Fighter
We
ready.
see that the enemy has deployed some aircraft, so I'm going to deploy my own
Ready
aircraft.
for deployment. Defense alert. Support cruiser spotted.
The Gaalsien don't
Defense
have
alert.
a strike
Interceptor
fighter
under
per se.
attack.
They have an interceptor, and like its name, it excels at intercepting
strike
enemy
fighter
aircraft and
destroyed.
blowing them out of the sky. Very good option for AA. It can as well attack the
Friendly
ground,
interceptor has been
but
destroyed.
there's just a little
Defense
bit
alert.
less effective
Hostile
than
carrier
their coalition counterparts for that purpose. So you definitely like to use the extreme speed,
Adaptation online.
front-loaded damage of your interceptors to
Rally position marked.
blow enemy
Rally
aircraft out of
position
the air.
designated.
Proximity operators, confirm negative hostile contacts. Proximity
Gaalsien only have
Engineering scans.
aircraft unit
Coordinates
types,
verified.
the
Carrier
interceptor and the
systems
precision bomber.
Destination locked.
Precision bomber differs greatly from the tactical bomber of the Coalition, which is for
Rally position
delivering
marked.
explosive payloads to grouped units.
Coordinates
Precision
verified.
bomber delivers several very high-powered single-target damage bombs.
Coordinates verified.
So it excels at taking out enemy cruisers, carriers,
mark
and
verified.
high-priority targets. Again, back to the carrier. Finish talking about his power systems.
Course
Similar
set.
to the Coalition
Operator
carrier, you can
designated.
increase the weapon range and weapon power. You
Honor guard
can, as I
limits
mentioned
online.
before, increase its speed and its hull
Defense alert.
regeneration.
Enemy armor inbound.
Now we
Destination
get to the
locked.
star of the
Target
show.
location marked. Cruiser active.
Gaalsien
Cease
Honor
advance.
Guard cruiser. Undoubtedly one of the most terrifying units in the entire game.
Hostile railgun
This guy
inbound.
has a massive,
Course set.
Precision bomber fabrication.
super heavy railgun cannon,
Hostile
that you
craft
can see,
detected.
which is basically the
Prosecute.
entire size of the ship. Now this thing
Research
fires at
concluded.
extreme range for massive area damage. Very much the epitome of a line breaker.
Forward. Advance.
You see
Defense
one
alert.
shot
Honor guard cruiser in contact.
takes half the
Advance
health
to contact.
off a large
Set mission
chunk of
one.
armored units.
Carrier
These guys are no
systems
slouch in the
online.
defense
Carrier
department either. They can
systems
take
online.
many
Defense
blows on
alert.
the chin
Cruiser
and
has
still
been
keep
engaged.
dishing it out.
Engage.
But put these guys on a hill and nothing
Alert.
will come
Carrier is being
close.
attacked.
And they can break through the hardest of the enemy
Perimeter
equipment.
defense active. Hostile armor destroyed.
Entrenched positions, you name it, the Honor Guard cruiser can break it.
Hostile railgun eliminated.
Base runner advancing. Advance to guard position.
We began to produce a second Honor Guard cruiser here. They also, as you can see, have point defense guns for defense against smaller light vehicles. You can also upgrade them to have anti-air missiles.
Rally
Very,
position
very
marked.
useful units. I rarely play Gaalsien without building Honor
Proceed
Guard
to grid
cruisers.
mark. Course set.
Plus, they just epitomize the style of the Gaalsien, in my opinion.
Wait for underway. Grid mark open. Maneuvering
Undoubtedly one of the
precision
best looking
guard.
units as well.
Proximity operators.
Next up, we're going to take a look at
Our scanners have yielded
Defense alert.
Siege Cruiser,
Support cruiser
which is the
identified.
Gaalsien artillery
Course
class
marked.
cruiser.
Advance.
Great work.
Basically works in the same capacity as
Hostile
the
salvager eliminated.
coalition artillery. However, it's again faster and more maneuverable, so you can get into position, unload its payload, and then retreat.
Siege cruiser online.
Great mark
You
set.
can see I'm moving up the majority of my heavy railguns and hunter guard cruisers to absolutely decimate that
Hostile
enemy
support
position.
cruiser neutralized.
Research
And I'm using
fulfilled.
the siege cruiser's barrage to fire over the hill
Bomber assembled, standing by for
and
assignment.
weaken this position before I move in with the rest of my
Bomber
forces.
inbound on marked position.
Established. Bombers moving up.
You
Heretic
can see
turret
the precision
destroyed.
bomber going in for a strike
Heretic scanner
at
spotted.
the support cruiser.
Defense alert.
You can see it
Precision
has
bomber
very
taking
high
fire.
damage single target shots. So very good for taking out those single units that you want out of the way.
Advance out.
Combat ready.
We're powering up to level 5 so I can show you the Gaalsien super weapon, which is quite a bit different than the Coalition's. And we're just using our superior ranged firepower to push the enemy back after we've
Enemy support cruiser
consistently
destroyed.
outflanked them, outmaneuvered them, and weakened them
Verified grid
considerably.
mark in advance.
So the Gaalsien, compared to the Coalition, they tend to not be as strong in a direct fight until much later in the game. So you definitely need to use your superior speed and mobility and your hit and run tactics to weaken the enemy and slow them down, to give you time to
Move to
overwhelm
destination.
them with massive, overwhelming firepower.
Proceed to mapped point.
So now that I've got the enemy boxed in,
Research fulfilled.
Verified.
I'm going to slowly push
Defense
forward.
alert nation. Heretic cruiser detected.
We have a problem. Battle cruisers spearheading a final valiant push. Thankfully, battle cruisers are quite slow and not very maneuverable, so I can use my superior mobility to kite them,
Precision bomber
deliver
inbound on
punishing,
marked location.
high-damage, single-target
cruiser
firepower from my railguns.
eliminated.
Support from the siege cruiser, this area barrage, even a bomber delivering that massive damage. That problem isn't a problem any longer.
Proceed to mapped
Now all
point.
that's left is to go in for the kill.
Coordinates verified.
Destination locked in.
Coordinates verified.
Command link rep.
Got my
Hostile
base runner
scanner spotted.
supporting my
Defense
other
alert.
units.
Hostile carrier detected. Sand skimmer
And
taking
again,
fire.
harassing with my skimmers, assault railguns, in preparation
Grid
for my
mark
final
set.
push.
Maintain active scans. Carrier initialized.
Now, Gaalsien's super weapon is called a missile
Research
barrage,
concluded.
and it delivers a sustained missile barrage to a fairly wide
Low
area,
enemy sensor post eliminated.
as opposed to the single explosive blast
Enemy
of Coalition
salvager
cruise
destroyed.
missile.
Enemy base runner authenticated.
Gaalsien missile provides sustained damage over time to the target. Still very powerful,
Get us moving. Enemy base runner destroyed.
Battle advance. Move. Advance. Engage all targets.
Hostile railgun approaching.
Position set.
I'm
Missile ship
drawing the fire with my sand skimmers away from my more valuable units. Moving in with superior ranged firepower,
Advance and prosecute on site.
making short work of this battle.
Battle advance commencing.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
High speed to target.
If you have any
Assault
questions,
railgun lost.
comments, or suggestions, leave them below. If you
Bomber
liked it,
inbound on
thumbs
marked
up. If you
position.
didn't like it, thumbs down.
Established.
Thanks for
Bombers
watching,
moving alert.
and I'll see you
Carrier
guys
under
next
attack.
time for the
Crafting area
Soban
assault.
faction.
Armored craft taking fire. The